So we have a new Heisman winner. Caleb Williams from USC wins it. And there really wasn't a lot of doubt as to who was going to win the Heisman Trophy. There was some doubt about where everyone else would finish. It ends up that Williams actually won every single region in terms of voting, which is hard to do. But obviously he had a phenomenal year. So now this is the third Heisman winning quarterback that Lincoln Riley has coached. And this guy in 6 years has had 5 starting quarterbacks. He's had 3 of them win the Heisman, and 4 of them go to New York as finalists. That's staggering right now, the success that every single quarterback is having under Lincoln Riley. And what I think is so fascinating, too, is that all of them have been a little bit different. You know, so like Mayfield was different than Kyler, and Kyler was different than Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts now different than Caleb Williams. And if you go back, you know, Baker was a bit of a journeyman, but there was a little gunslinger to his game. He had good feet, not great, wasn't going to kill you with his feet. Then all of a sudden, Kyler Murray is a guy that, while he didn't have the same, I don't want to say ability from the pocket, it was just he was so much more willing to use his feet and create on the outside. Quick as a hiccup. By the way, bummed for him that he tore his knee up last week. But, you know, you remember some of those moves and runs that he made, namely against Texas. That run down the left sideline was, you know, as good of a run as I've ever seen. Then Jalen Hurts, much more of a runner. And it was more in terms of less scrambling and more planned run. You know, this guy was highly effective. And then Caleb Williams comes along. And Caleb Williams is kind of the best combination of all of those guys. He certainly can hurt you with his legs outside of the pocket. He's confident enough to scramble and yet not run, but keep his eyes down the field. And I think maybe his best strength is his ability to attack and throw on the run outside of the pocket. And then he still can hurt you from inside the pocket. So now all of a sudden, all of these different styles, you start to think to yourself, man, is it the system? Well, no, because the system has morphed. It has changed. And that's where you've got to give a lot of credit to Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley has told me before, you know, I've asked him about, like, what makes this such a good quarterback system? And he starts off by not describing anything, but he says, well, first of all, if your system is not a good quarterback system, if it's not a quarterback-friendly system, then you need a new offense. It's such a great line, and it's profound in this day and age in which you know you need quality quarterback play in order to be successful, and this guy has clearly been able to do that across several different styles of player. And it's his willingness to adjust his offense and not be so rigid. I actually think that's a big nod to his mentor, Mike Leach, who was not going to just say, this is how we have to do it every single time, but he would morph and he would move and he would evolve. And Lincoln Riley certainly has done that. And the offense has been different with every one of those players. It is interesting to me, by the way, that you see that Baker had 3 years in the system and you see what he was able to do. Kyler, 1 year in the system. Jalen, 1 year in the system. And now there's this guy that could be the best version of all of those players that now is going to have multiple seasons within the system. He had the first one as a freshman, basically half the year at Oklahoma. Now you see what he's able to do in his first full season as a starter at USC. Now he's still going to come back to school, and it begs the question, is the best yet to come from a Lincoln Riley quarterback? Yes, we've seen 3 guys win the Heisman Trophy, and 4 of the 5 actually go to New York as finalists. But there's a world in which we haven't even seen the best version of what a Lincoln Riley quarterback can do. And that might be ahead of us for Caleb Williams. Staggering production from all of those guys. Williams absolutely deserved this. He was the best player in college football this year. And by the way, people saying, well, the injury against Utah and they lost that game, that might have been the best case study for why he deserved the Heisman Trophy. The stark difference between what USC was with Williams when healthy and what they weren't when he wasn't, I think is a feather in his cap and one of the reasons why he won this thing going away. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.